Today's title of episode number 14 is Meeting the Chairman. 2nd June 1980, Pondicherry, India. She. It is the divine extreme that will be able to transform the dark extreme by absorbing and blotting out the darkness. Unquote. The meeting took place in the splendid mansion of the secretary's rich and best friend in town, who had rented it out to the chairman and his organization, a registered society. He, the chairman, the newborn, the leader, and successful businessman from Bombay, in turn had made the building the headquarters of his association, demonstrating wealth and power. The inside of the large building looked like a palace. It was used as residence on the upper floor and as an office place and reception center on the lower. The conference I had been invited to was set up, arranged and conducted by our host, the man who was given years ago the responsibility by herself to help originating and collecting funds both for the colony as well as for the ashram, and form a corresponding legal body. But after her leaving her body, the simmering power fights amongst the leading personality of the ashram in one hand and on the other, between the colony and the society, had broken loose openly, and foremost between the chairman of the society and its secretary. The latter eventually had been removed from his position, but still retained some moral authority, as she herself had chosen him. The most surprising issue for me was the fact that the meeting was taking place and was including me. After all, it had been the chairman's orders who had caused my deportation from Bombay airport a few months before. The legal body of the colony, controlled by the chairman, originally had been founded by herself many years ago as a means to collect funds from the outside, both for the ashram and for the colony. It had been her who had fixed the positions of the different office bearers. After her demise, the chairman had openly grasped the power in order to take over the registered body, and with it the colony, which legally was part of it. When his ex-secretary informed me that I was invited to the meeting, I did not know at all what it was about. But I assumed, as the general political situation within the colony looked pretty critical, that the conference was connected to the running politics in whatever way. I speculated that I was called there because of several reasons. No doubt that one of them was my association with the secretary. I was known to have been working with him since several years. As the central government at the capital at this point of time already had taken over the management of the colony, the chairman badly needed allies to help him out. Even his arch-enemy, the secretary, would do, and inviting me, I deduced, gave him a chance to soften the known position of the man he and his organization considered to be the traitor, the major culprit of all the trouble we all were facing. In fact, even I had seen the secret letter written by the secretary years ago to the government, that he, as the secretary of the organization led by the chairman, considered the organization to be unfit for the management of the colony. The letter had been specifically addressed to a disciple of herself who had been asked by her to join politics at the capital, and who later became instrumental to remove the organization of the chairman from the colony. The third reason I guess they invited me was that at that time I still was supposed to be somehow a foreign member of the colony. Officially, I had kept my strategy to be legally on my own secret. I could do it because I was married to an Indian wife. My case as a member of the colony would give the chairman some arguments and leverage to all sides, showing that he was indeed dealing with colonists and even with foreigners, including them in his schemes and considerations. And indeed there were quite a few other colonists who, up till this point of time, still supported him, sharing his feeling towards the takeover of the government as well as towards the secretary. Fourth, I was speculating, he might be still hopeful that he could win me over also to his side, as he had managed to succeed with the other colonists who still considered themselves to be his devotees. Our meeting included him, his ex-secretary and mainfo, and me. The purpose of the meeting was revealed to be by my friend and that time mentor 10 minutes before it started. He told me, the chairman said he is considering some new ideas and he now wants to discuss what can be done. So let us see what he comes up with. We may find compromises to work with him. The conference took place in the main hall of the mansion, not more than 30 meters away from the office of the secretary, connected to it by a passage. We both were walking from his office around the back wall of the courtyard in order to reach the main entrance of the society center. A set of lavished furniture was put in the middle of the room. A huge leather sofa was standing in front of a marble table. The floor was shining with polished white granite tiles. A picture of herself and him was hanging at the wall, and the scent of incense was even reaching the street outside. Both men were dressed in white silk dhotis, the traditional clothes of men from the north from India. As the stories ran, both of them originated even from the same village in Rajasthan. The chairman received us standing. We did our namaste to him and were asked to sit down. As soon as we did this, both men immediately started to talk in Hindi, neglecting my presence completely. It was these two main actors who considered to be the ones who were setting the rules in the cosmic game involving allegedly the Divine Mother, themselves, the government, the colony, and the ashram, all of whom kept on playing their roles and consequent creations. Mostly the chairman was leading the conversation in an animated tone of voice, while the other men answered back calmly, at times as if under severe stress. As I did not understand a single word, the only part I could fulfill was unobtrusively observing them. On one hand, it was obvious that they knew each other well. On the other, that underneath the surface, their hidden enmity still was looming and continued to govern. Every now and then they would put in an English sentence, maybe as if to show that they had not forgotten me. At one point, The chairman looked at me, his eyes moving nervously back and forth. He said in a jovial tone of voice, "We are very happy to have you here with us. We are proud of you. You are one of the colonists we bank upon. Everything will be solved to its best. She will see to it." Having said that, he made the usual common gesture towards her, touching with his fingers of his right hand his chest and his forehead. It was this gesture which made me suddenly remember that she, for whatever reason, had sent him at one point of time to learn Tantra, with a Tantric guru who previously had come to the ashram several times before, in order to work with her. But then I forced my attention back to the present, while sitting in front of the two men, focusing on the situation. Attentively, I was studying our host, and it was my vision at this moment that gave me a profound shock. While I continued to observe our host talking, all at once a deep red, quickly increasing spot of blood appeared on the white silk on his chest, just about where his heart was, slowly running down his upper body. While keeping on staring at his face, trying desperately to hold my composure, I frantically nodded agreement, smiling artificially. When I finally dared looking down to his chest, the spot had disappeared. This happened months before he collapsed and died in front of the Supreme Court of India in the capital, trying to defend the right of his organization to own the colony. He was said to have suffered a heart attack, while some confidential inside reports would have it that his face and neck, when he collapsed in front of the highest legal representation of the country, had turned violent black. Udayan, India, October 1979. One of the weirdest of my dreams that occurred before my trip to Europe and my consequent deportation, I have noted down but not burned, as I had been doing with most of my other records and writings before. I mention it here because its content is personal and besides not directly connected to the events happening at the colony. The content of the dream may give another small piece of evidence for the direction my own life and development were moving to, ever since I joined the colony and the experiment. In the dream I was observing a scene involving the leader of the country, to whom I somehow felt connected. In no way I could explain how and why. Outwardly, I had never met her. Dream. In the scenario of my dream, the lady leader of India was being attacked by an assailant who stabbed her with a dagger that he had hidden underneath his kurta. He managed to kill her. Later, on 31st October 1984, I was noting down in my diary, "Today a most tragic event occurred. The leader of the country was shot and killed by her own Sikh bodyguards. This is a most significant event for the country and the world. The reason for the attack, they say, was that she had been interfering with the freedom of religion of the Sikh community in India. I cannot fail to notice and register now, years after, that even in the Indian Parliament Assembly, Sikh members of the lower house are allowed by law to carry their daggers and turbans. This was before the government of India finally took over the entire colony in 1988 in a special colony foundation act of the Parliament. 19th December 2023, Mija, Spain. While I was editing this video today, more than 40 years later, I wanted to check out the exact date of the death of the chairman, but I could hardly find anything about him in the net. But I did find many entries about his still running organization that now is led by another chairman, again a businessman. Also, the son of the chairman is involved. I had met him several times, as well as his sister. He now seems to be also a good friend of my cutlery teacher, my neighbor, visiting him frequently. The objectives and aims of the renewed society and association in the internet are stated as, in brackets, we aim at a beautiful tomorrow, a happy world, a dynamic application of spirituality to material life and all its activities, human unity in diversity. The society, still bearing his name, is a global, non-profit, no-government organization. Let us come together and create the next future. Tarot topic: what will the future bring? I was using the tarot spread, the Cross of Power. In the card indicating the past, it came the solution. In the present, the card, recognition. In the future, the card, after strife, the need of integration of opposites. Conscious support is given by dealing with stern authority, unconscious support, true gentle power of the Divine Mother. Thanks and Namaste.